I've got something on that, and get in touch, podcast at linekerandbaker.com. And there are 66 subjects, and so the first one this week just says, here's a new subject for you. Thanks a lot, mate. I knocked myself out coming out with all these subjects. He's got one of his own here, and it's a long one, but this is a great story. This is somebody that understands the rather nebulous nature of this podcast.
I'm glad someone does.
Who's it from? It is from our very good correspondent, Lee Spencer. Thank you, Lee. I hope you've just sat on the train and said, that's me. I was inspired to contact you by the story in one of your early podcasts about Teddy Bear's football team. I don't remember that. Teddy Bear's football team.
We've had every subject, so it's more than likely.
The point that came out of the Teddy Bear's football team story is my belief that you will read out any old rubbish. So here's mine. I told you, this fella's he's got us. He's got us. As a young teenager, I used to play centre forward for 4 years for a team called Beckett House Finance in the Interdepartmental League in the then massive Ford plant in Dagenham. Oh yeah, my father-in-law was at Ford's. We wore a light blue and white shirt because we were sponsored by one of the players who had his own business selling fish. Our team badge was a couple of prawns.
What?
Sorry, no, I know.
Our team?
His team badge was... anyone who's got esoteric team badges out there would love to see them. Couple of prawns on this very good site.
I thought you said one of our team's dads was a couple of prawns. I honestly thought that's what you said.
Honestly.
The team badge was a couple of prawns.
Not
Gotcha.
the team's dad.
Okay.
You know, our old subject, have you ever played while on LSD? I sometimes think we recalled this exactly the same way. Here we go. Okay. As this was Ford's interdepartmental league, the rules stated a large percentage of the team had to work at Ford's. However, most of our team played under assumed names and were not Ford employees. My Uncle Kevin, for example, played under 5 different names because he kept getting banned. We have played mainly on Hackney Marshes, and I'd spend every Sunday morning trying to run around fat, hungover men who would just kick me up in the air as soon as I got anywhere near them. One game, I was a bit isolated up the top of the pitch when one particularly nasty defender, who had taken a bit of a dislike to me, took the opportunity to have a dig. I squared up to him, then almost immediately found myself on the ground, curled up in a ball, being enthusiastically booted about by several of his friends. This turned into a mass brawl when players of my team came to help me. My Uncle Kevin ran and grabbed a metal spike that was being used to fence off a portion of the cricket green and chased the whole opposition off the pitch. Now, this was fairly normal for a Sunday morning game, and the game wasn't even abandoned. We all came back and got on with it. Kevin got a yellow card, and the incident is only memorable to me as it occurred in one of the only 2 games in which I scored a goal in 4 years. That's half a goal a season. And remember, I was the centre forward. He scored 0.5 goals a year.
He was in the wrong position.
Later, I joined the Royal Marines, got married and moved to Devon, where I resumed my appalling football career by joining a football team in the neighbouring village called Buckland. By this time, I was relegated to a defender. There's one in the eye.
That's what happens.
Relegated.
Which
to
has
the
always been
defender.
what I've said. The bad players are at the back.
I don't have to believe. Be some of the most cherished football pundits on your show probably would look at this askance at the moment.
Exactly.
So now he's a defender, a position I had little natural flair for and zero tactical understanding of. We played a game against a team that were admittedly a league above us, the one we played in, and the final score, they beat us 17-0. The next week, I was demoted to sub. I could have carried on playing for a team that lost 17-0, but I couldn't be a sub. I had my pride. That was the end of my footballing career. Now, the next part of my life was taken up with almost back-to-back tours of Iraq and Afghanistan, all of which I came through unscathed, thankfully. Then, on a Sunday night in January 2014, on my way back to camp after Christmas leave, I came across a car that had crashed into the central reservation on the M3. Whilst I was helping the people who were involved in the crash, another car crashed into theirs with such force that the engine and the gearbox came flying out. I was hit. I lost my right leg.
Oh.
I know, it's a roller coaster, isn't it? Which brings me to why I contacted you. Recently, the village where I live in Devon, Horrobridge, started a walking football team. In my first training game, I scored a hat-trick, and I score goals most weekends. So here's what I want to know. Is there another subject you can do with, has anyone got better at football after losing a limb? Yours faithfully, Lee Spencer.
Lee Spencer, that is brilliant. What a story.
That is the benchmark.
That's the best one we've had.
It is. I've done, because sometimes it can jar you, particularly in